First up, we have Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married To? Now, Tyler Perry has clearly tapped into something and has been able to create successful films one after another, but I don't think coming into this particular film without having seen the first one was really the best idea for me. This kind of dramatic, slightly comedic film really leans towards the dramatic side of things, which isn't entirely what I was expecting. There's a lot of couples therapy, a lot of arguments, a lot of character development, and it certainly is a decent film with some great performances, but having not watched the first film and gotten invested in these characters, I can't say that it really grabbed my attention beyond on a surface level. So fans of Tyler Perry, you will probably enjoy this film. Myself, it's okay, but nothing out of the ordinary. On Blu-ray, it looks and sounds pretty good. It's relatively new movie. It's not huge budgeted, but everything holds up well. Skin tones are natural, colors are well saturated, image clarity is good. It didn't blow me away in terms of its AV transfer quality, but it certainly isn't a disappointment. The surround soundtrack, pretty typical for this kind of movie. Strong dialogue, some good music in the rear speakers when that comes in for the soundtrack. Not too much in the way of surround activity, but some decent stereo separation here and there when it's needed. So again, Tyler Perry fans, this is one you'll probably want to pick up on Blu-ray. It does have some good special features, including 2 making-of featurettes, a character guide, which you definitely need if you haven't seen the movie like myself, and a music video from Janet Jackson, who also stars in the film. Next, we have Petty Blue, which is a documentary about Richard Petty and the Petty racing legacy. This film is actually pretty good if you're a NASCAR fan, and it's actually pretty good even if you're not a NASCAR fan. Narrated by Kevin Costner, who is, of course, the perfect narrator for this kind of film with his slightly southern drawl. You really do kind of get a sense of the entire Petty family in this review and sort of their history and the legacy all the way through to Kyle Petty and Adam Petty, who's the latest racer in the family. I am not a NASCAR fan, and I stuck with this movie the whole way through because it's pretty interesting. It's more than just a collection of racing clips. It's really about kind of the family, the legacy, how they came up in the racing world, and the successes that followed them. So interesting if you're not a NASCAR fan, but if you are a Richard Petty fan or a fan of NASCAR, you'll definitely want to check this one out. Special features include deleted scenes, some bonus interviews, a making-of featurette, some vintage audio interviews, and a Kevin Costner music video, which doesn't really have anything to do with the movie at all, but hey, why not? They could fit it on there, so they did. Next, we have Cash, starring Sean Bean and Chris Hemsworth. Now, this movie is notable mostly because, kind of like Chris Pine's Blind Dating, this is the sort of big screen debut of Chris Hemsworth, who's going to be playing Thor in next year's big screen Marvel Comics adaptation. Now, I only watched this movie because he was in it, because frankly I wanted to get a sense of what he was like and what he might bring to the table as Thor. And much like Chris Pine in Blind Dating, I don't think I really got a sense of the best of what he had to offer because it's not that great of a movie. Hemsworth's performance kind of reminds me a little of Paul Walker. He has that sort of surfer dude kind of deep voice that I hope is more a function of the character than of his acting abilities. I don't think that will work as Thor, but he's decent enough in this film. I don't think he'll be an embarrassment. He certainly physically fits the role. Cash is kind of a slow burn thriller about a couple that comes across a bunch of money that's not theirs and of course belongs to a criminal who then comes to get it back. But he's sort of an odd criminal, and he's more interested in the accounting part of it than the crime part of it. So it takes a while for anything to really start happening in the film, and then even once it does, it's a little bit slow. It's an interesting film. I watched it. I was interested to see how the film would resolve, but it's not the most exciting movie in the world. So, a good one to rent if you have nothing else on the table, but not the type of movie you have to rush right out and buy. A couple extra features on this disc. You get an audio commentary with writer-director Stephen Milburn Anderson, a making-of featurette, and a collection of deleted and extended scenes. Next up, we have Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Damn the Torpedoes. And this is not a DVD audio. This is actually a making-of disc from the classic albums line that Eagle Vision puts out. And they do a really good job with these. It's kind of a neat documentary, feature length actually. It's over an hour and a half, all about the making of course, classic albums, and this one is Tom Petty's Damn the Torpedoes, which spawned the hits Don't Do Me Like That, Even the Losers, Refugee, and Here Comes My Girl. It's an authorized movie, so you got the blessings of Tom Petty, and it really does give a good kind of look into how the album was made, what went into the songs, and really kind of the history of the band at that point. So it's really neat. I'm not a huge Tom Petty fan, but I certainly enjoyed watching this just to kind of get a sense of, it is a classic album, and it is an album that even I have half the songs off of in my collection. So it was kind of fun to go back and see what things were like at this time period for this particular band. If you are a Tom Petty fan, this is pretty much must-see viewing, though. Extra features, you get about 40 minutes of additional material that wasn't in the TV broadcast of the movie, but that's kind of worked into the film, so it plays out as just one big, long documentary, no particular extra features to speak of. Next up, we have Stripped Naked, a sort of grindhouse exploitation film about a stripper who comes into a lot of money. It could be kind of a good double feature with cash. And it's kind of strange. It's an unrated movie featuring strippers and the mob, and it has no nudity and no blood. So I'm not really sure what audience they were going for here, because anybody who's going to want to watch an exploitation grindhouse type of film is going to expect to see TNA and blood, and this movie has neither of them, which is kind of its downfall, because it's just not that good of a movie. The acting is suspect in some of the scenes, well, a lot of the scenes, and without some gratuitous thrills to keep you going along as the movie does, there's really not much to keep your attention. I drifted off pretty quickly in terms of this one, and only finished it really because I had to. Not the worst movie I've ever seen, but certainly far from the best. Fittingly, there are no extra features on this DVD, so really, aside from the cool cover art, this movie has just about nothing going for it. Finally, we have Big Money Rustlas, which is a prequel to Big Money Hustlas, and those are two films starring the Insane Clown Posse. Now, Stripped Naked, I said, was a pretty bad movie that had nothing going for it, and Big Money Rustlas pretty much makes it look like Shakespeare. That being said, it's so incredibly terribly bad, you almost kind of want to watch it. It's certainly the type of movie that you could get together with a group of friends and kind of have a Mystery Science Theater 3000 approach to, because it's just really terrible. It's a Western with two guys who are dressed like clowns and painted to look like clowns, shooting and killing people who aren't clowny enough, I guess. To be honest with you, to say that this movie had a plot would really be insulting to the word plot. It doesn't. And if you're not an Insane Clown Posse fan, I can't imagine why you'd want to see this movie except to laugh at it. And I do mean laugh at it, not laugh with it. It's just terrible, and I don't get the whole Insane Clown Posse thing, so that's pretty much all I can say about this one. It does come with some special features, though. Commentary by the Insane Clown Posse, commentary by the director and actor Mark Jury, a featurette on the movie's premiere, a slideshow, and music videos from Insane Clown Posse and Twisted. So again, fans of those groups, check out this movie. Anybody else, really don't waste your time unless you're just looking for a really cheap laugh.